Good afternoon and welcome to All About Animals. I'm Sherry Graditor, and I have two guests today who I will in one moment ask to introduce themselves because we all know that my memory for names is Swiss cheese and has lots of holes in it. But they represent an organization called W.A.G.S, which is an organization I had never heard of that's doing wonderful things. So first let me ask you to introduce yourselves, please.
Yes, I'm Alison Graham. I'm the president of W.A.G.S.
And I'm Heidi Denzel, Vice President of W.A.G.S.
Okay, and what is W.A.G.S?
It stands for Waukegan Animals Getting Saved. They made me president because I came up with the acronym, but after that it became very much a group effort. Heidi and Susan Elliott is I'm blanking out. Animal Control Officer. She's a senior animal control officer for Waukegan Police Animal Control. And so WAGS is an auxiliary to animal control. So we started as a fundraising organization to help, say, the classic example I give is if a dog was hit by a car, stray dog's hit by a car and it's brought into animal control, the city has a limited budget that they can spend on that animal. But back in the day, Susan used to take the animal to the hospital, and the bill was much higher than what the city could spend, and she would end up paying out of her own pocket to save the animal's life. So that's why we kind of started this fundraising thing so that we could come in and pay medical bills like that so that she didn't have to. So, but then it's expanded since then in 4 years.
Right,
So.
but also not only did she pay out of her pocket, a lot of times the dogs were euthanized because they couldn't afford
Right.
to fix the dogs. So what we do is we raise the money to make sure that all dogs have the chance.
And cats.
And
Yes.
cats. Now, is this only injured animals that you're working for at this
No,
point?
we also work with the citizens if they can't afford their medical or spay neuters, food if they can't afford food. We'll raise money for food or just donate food to them. Whatever we can do for the animals in Waukegan is what we do.
And I heard a wonderful statement from one of you, and I don't remember since we've all three spoken, basically, that the number of animals going to shelters is reduced now to a great extent, that you're working with rescues.
We have partnered with hundreds of rescues. The save rate now is 99%. 1%, for extreme circumstances, but we managed to get all those dogs into rescues, which is, a great.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. I think Chicago's like 80%, and I think, the bigger cities are like that. So this is huge.
And very frankly, there was a time when Waukegan wasn't, I would say that there was a time where Waukegan wasn't even 80%, wasn't even 75%.
Right.
So what you've done is a tremendous amount for all of the animals that you're interacting with who are in the shelter.
Yes.
Okay, so who came up with the bright idea?
Well, to back up again, Susan, I came here about 4 years ago from Philadelphia and went into Waukegan Animal Control, met Susan, and saw what a great job she was doing. And then she told me the stories how she was, in order to keep all the animals alive, she was paying out of her own pocket. And I had seen something similar done in Philadelphia where they had an auxiliary group. So I said, why don't we start something like that? And so then she went and handpicked the board members, Heidi. We have a person named Anna Vincent, who is our cat person. She rescues hundreds of cats in Waukegan. And we have Alex Rodriguez and Jen Moore, all longtime Waukegan residents who are all very hardcore animal lovers, and each one of them brings different skills to the table. So, and we've been around about 4 years now, but so that's kind of how we got started.
You've been in it from the beginning. How long have you been with it?
The beginning.
Also, both of you have been doing this now for 4 years, and in those 4 years, you have had an incredible effect on the lives of an awful lot of animals.
I hope so, because it's a lot of work, it's a lot of planning, it's a lot of community effort to make this as good as it was. Mm-hmm. It's more than I thought it would be.
Oh, I would imagine it has to be. On an off thought, do you know how many animals you wind up interacting with in a week or a month or a year? If you had to guess.
I know that Susan, I think last year they had brought in about 400 dogs, and that probably doesn't include ones that were like a stray dog that was lost and the owner came and reclaimed it. Mm-hmm. That's probably 400 dogs that were dumped or, found as
Strays that
strays,
never
the owners
claimed.
never came back, yeah. And then there's probably as many cats, if not more cats, so.
I'm sure. Now, what happens with an animal? You raise the fund for the animal to have an animal that's been injured, for example. Whether that is from abuse or whether that's from a car, or God knows there are a lot of reasons that they come into the shelters hurt. And you have care done with the animal. Obviously, there's got to be a bridge period where the animal is healing. What do you do with the animal after it's had its surgery, its repair, whatever?
Generally, we'll find a foster to take it into their home. We don't want anybody recuperating at animal control. So we find a foster, and they will take it in, and then we will beg rescues to take it into their arms and find a home for it.
And just a bit of a clarification, it is Waukegan Animal Control, is Waukegan Police Animal Control. It's a city-run facility, so dogs have to go from there into what we call a licensed foster-based rescue. We are actually not a foster-based rescue. We're more fundraising, so you'll never see a W.A.G.S animal. But like she said, say if that dog's hit by the car after it has its surgery, either us or Susan has been lining up a rescue and a foster. And then that foster person then is fostering that animal under that rescue.
Right.
But we've paid the medical bill so that this is before it went into the rescue. And the rescues are cash strapped. They're they're adopting dogs out for basically their vetting fees. So they're not making any money off those dogs.
No.
So a lot of times they can't take a dog with medical issues. So that's where we come in, so.
Yeah. I mean, what you're doing is amazing. And the numbers, the sheer numbers of animals that you are keeping into no-kill rescues, and I'm sure it's a list of no-kills that you're working with.
Yes.
And do you vet those things? Do you follow up on the animals once they've gone to a rescue at all?
Yes.
You do.
Yes, a lot of us foster through those rescues too,
Okay.
So we'll have the animals at our house, or a lot of our volunteers. Our volunteer right now one of our volunteers is doing that right now with a dog who had to have his leg amputated after being hit by a car. So we paid the medical bill along with the vet hospital. They reduced the bill quite a bit, which was great. And then she's fostering the dog through a rescue called Black Dog All Breed Rescue. And so right now everybody's in the loop. And everybody meaning us and our WAGS followers on the Facebook page, because we're posting updates on this dog so that everybody can see what happens with him. So
you do a website,
Facebook page.
a Facebook page, and you show animals once they go into the various and sundry rescues and say, hey, this is a WAGS dog that's now with, if you want to track it, or do they put them on their websites?
We do follow up with them on the Facebook page, but the rescue also posts on their page looking for an adopter. But we always follow up on the dogs.
Okay.
We keep in touch with a lot of them still.
Let me ask you a wonderful question. How big suckers are you?
How
many dogs do you have?
I have 4 full-time dogs, and I always have puppies, lots of fosters. I have 9 birds, macaws, parrots,
Oh, wow.
and they're from Waukegan too. And then I have 6 cats, and those are all from Waukegan. I have a 23-year-old or 21-year-old I just adopted, because it was either that, take it home with me, or I was going to Orphans of the Storm.
Mm-hmm.
So I brought it home with me, and he can live out his life with me.
That's wonderful. That is
She really
absolutely wonderful.
And she connects with the animals like you've never seen.
Do
She's
you
so
also live in a zoo?
good. I do. My zoo's a little bit smaller than hers. I'm inside the Waukegan city limits. So I have officially 5 dogs, and then I'll have an occasional foster or wayward dog that finds their way to my house temporarily. So
Yeah. So, I think this is probably one of the neatest things, and there are 2 reasons that I wanted you to come out. And one of the reasons is that obviously there are things that we're going to ask people to come up with that you need. But it's more than that. If every municipal pound had an auxiliary that would work with them, and I know how hard that is, because you've got to find people who are dedicated and willing to give up half their lives. I know that. There's no
it's
question.
at least half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're allowed to have half a life. You are.
No, what we're saying is like Anna Vincent, for example, she's has a full-time job. She is expecting a baby, and she still spends probably 4 hours a day working on saving the cats and doing some of the bookkeeping for WAGs and all that stuff. So, so it's and then every weekend she gives that up, and Heidi's doing transports on the weekends.
It's time consuming, and it's also an emotional load, I'm sure.
It is.
Every one of these animals wiggles its way into your heart whether you want it to or not. I mean, there's just no escaping that.
Last year, I found, we found an adopter in Kansas for one of the dogs. I drove that dog all the way out to Kansas. By the time I got the dog there, I really didn't want to leave it there because really I liked it too much, I had to leave him there and come all the way home. But yeah, you fall for them.
Of course you do.
You really do.
I mean, it only takes me a few days with an animal, and that's it. I'm
Right.
stuck.
I know.
That's why we have the
But
zoo that we
if
have.
we could only arrange or find or expand on this idea, you brought it when you came to Illinois. You brought the concept with you.
But again,
but I
it took,
think
you had to have all the right people in place, which they were
But
there.
you know what? They were there. And maybe they'd be there in North Chicago or in Zion, both of which have significant pounds.
And North Chicago is doing something similar. They have they don't have anything like a WAGS, but they have a group of people called Friends of North Chicago that are coming together and helping their animal control officer out too. So
It would
they
be
need a lot of help
so
too.
nice to cut the number of animals in the animal shelters, the local animal shelters, to a point where they all have a chance to get homes, where they're not overwhelming, and you're saving the lives of all these animals that would otherwise. So, reason number one that I had you was because I wanted people to hear this and to think that this might be a wonderful thing to spread out. But there's another reason, and that's the one that I asked you about when I said, and that's what is your wish list? What do you need?
I brought it with me.
Okay. And you can read it if you'd
All
like.
right. We are always in need of dog food, whether it be for the residents who can't afford to feed their dog. That's always puppy food, cat food, blankets and towels, because, especially during the winter, the kennels get cold. They want to sleep on something warm. They do have beds, but the blankets are nice. Cat litter, again.
Always need cat litter.
Always need cat litter. Not only do we have the cats at animal control, we also work with the people who take care of the feral colonies. So, there's a big demand there for cat litter and cat food for them. Rawhides, all sizes, but larger preferred, because most of the dogs going in there are pit bulls. Something big to keep them busy, keep them from going crazy in there.
Yeah, exactly. They spend a lot of time in the cages, and this is not just a luxury item.
Sure.
It keeps them from going kennel crazy, is what they call it. And then that makes their a chance of getting pulled by a rescue a lot less if they're acting up too much.
sure.
So this keeps them calm.
Any and all types of medicines, antibiotics, or any first aid supplies. Pet carriers or crates, all sizes. Puppy and kitten food again. Newborn formula and kitten formula. Dog and cat toys, dog chews. We need food bowls, collars and leashes. Any gift certificate for any medicines, Revival, animal health certificates. And they will request shipping if you ask them to waive the shipping. The Revival will do that for you.
Okay.
And of course, any monetary donations are never
Yes.
refused.
Dollars are welcome.
Because that helps with the medical
And I'm sure you're
expenses.
looking for people who will be volunteers.
Oh gosh, we
and
always
you're looking
have
for
events.
foster homes.
Foster homes, and yes, foster homes is a big need right now. It's the holiday season, and animals are getting dumped at the shelter all across the country. Right before the holidays,
Sure.
people.
They're full.
So-
We're virtually out of time.
Okay, sorry.
Is there a phone number that people can call to reach you? And is there a website they can look at?
I can give the phone number is 847-305-9973. And then our Facebook page, if you go in there and in the top line type in Waukegan Animals Getting Saved, we should come right up.
Beautiful. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for educating me and the people who are watching as well. I really appreciate it. And we will now go to Save a Pet and show you some of the dogs and cats that are waiting there for adoption.